What's up guys, Scotty here from the Blue Coconut family and welcome back to another Cities Skylines tutorial. So today we're going to be looking at the best way you can start your city when you first load into Cities Skylines. Now with the city that you're given, obviously you get a little bit of kind of choice when it comes to choosing your map. So it is entirely down to you. Most map choices you make are fairly the same. There are a couple of differences in terms of ones that give you more resources. There's some that are more kind of tailored around the DLC that they're part of. Keep an eye out for the little symbol so you know what DLC they're part of, and you know that they're going to be a little bit more kind of weighted towards that DLC. For example, a the mass transit DLC may be tailored more to around having more kind of opportunity to use those transits, such as more water for ferries, maybe a little bit more land space to be able to put some cable cars and and such in. So it's like mountains and stuff like that. Whereas if you have the Industries DLC, you may find it has a lot more resources in the ground for you to utilize those DLCs and all things like that. So just bear that in mind. But when it comes to actually having your first square, your square is going to be fairly same in terms of having some land and some river on it, or it may have access to the ocean. And the reason why I say that is because it has to have some form of connection to water, because it is essential for you to have that started straight away. So when you start your city, have a good look at your land. Now, I don't just mean your square you've got, have a look at what's around your land. And this will give you an idea of what your future opportunities will be like for expanding. So if you come out into the larger land view, you can see kind of what we're talking about. So we can see here we've got a main highway which goes through, and a little off kind of one that goes up to the north, which is good. And we can see that actually it does also go all the way out here as well, and we've got a lot of land opportunities. So with this in mind, you can start pre-planning where your whole city is going to go. So we are given this square here, which is fine, but if we want a future expanse, we need to think about this main highway and also rail line that goes next to it. So it would be probably beneficial for us to expand kind of in this sort of direction, because not only is this way closer to the railway line and we have a lot more land this direction, but also we have access to the two highways, meaning we can build more junctions in the future. We also have the opportunity of going a little bit more south, and we have actions where we can then now attach to this highway that is in the south towards the bridge and towards the ocean, which I assume this map doesn't have an ocean. It is all river. That's fine. That's absolutely fine. Please excuse me. So once you've worked it out, then you can start planning your city. Now when you first come to planning your city, you don't have much choice. You have not unlocked anything. You only have a couple of roads available to you, and even from those you have nothing available in the highway section, so you can't even continue your highway. And it is very important to know that it gives you a in and an out as two one-way roads. So until you unlock the road's ability to change that, it doesn't give you much option. So there is no harm in your first road simply being connecting the two, just like so. That is entirely all you need to be able to do. Once you've got that, it gives you a couple more options. It gives you the little sidewalk road, and it gives you one with a median in the middle. Basically, it's just a two-lane road. It does give you a couple of options of, it now gives you the two-way road and the two-way road with sidewalks. So with that in mind, you can probably start, adjusting for your next city. It does give you a couple more kind of the four-lane roads, so kind of bigger roads, and the 6 lanes as well. So, but you have to place your first road down in order to do that. What I do recommend though is start thinking about this road here first. And the reason why I say that is because the more you do to this road here at the start, the easier it will be later in game. What I recommend doing is start by building a roundabout, just like so. You do that simply by just taking a one-way road and just linking it up so that it has got even corners each side, just like so. Very nice. And what you can do with that, you can then make it so the 2-lane road just curves in, and this is just it's not going to be too dramatic at the time being, because we don't have options to do anything for a highway. and we don't have any options to make them bigger at all. So that's fine for now, and that's what we'll stick with. We're not expecting much traffic, but what this is going to do is make sure the traffic coming into our city is nice and easy. Once you do that, the next job is to start building your main city bits. Bear in mind, your money is not great at this point. So what I recommend doing is think about your layout of the city. Now, you want to be thinking about a couple of things here. Where is a nice area for your residential to start going? Where is an area for your industry to go? You want to keep those two separate, and it is really not recommended to mix those two together because the industry creates a lot of pollution that can make your citizens sick. So, the other thing to consider, and may help with the previous decision, is your direction of water. So if you've got a river, you will consider the direction of flow of your river, thinking upstream is more fresh, downstream is potentially more polluted. So therefore you want to be thinking maybe down here we can have the industry, and maybe upstream we can have our residential. So that's kind of made the decision. So over here I'm going to have a road that comes off, and I'm going to have it come this way. So I'm going to have this free flow, just like so. And then we're going to go into a small little city block. Now you don't want to be thinking too crazy for your first city, because it is at this point only a small town. So you've got your small bit of city. Now you can start zoning. So I'm going to do this middle bit as all residential, and I'm going to do this side as commercial. Make it nice and small at the start. You don't want anything too crazy. Then you need a place for those people to work. So we're going to then come over here to start building the industry area. And we're going to finish off like that, and then go into having our industry. Now we don't want this to go too crazy, so we're just going to have it like that. And zone that middle bit is industry. Once you start doing that, you're going to start seeing your first couple of houses start to build up, which is fantastic. And that shows that we've got some houses moving in, but you'll notice our population hasn't changed. The reason why your population hasn't changed yet is the houses aren't complete. But even once the houses are complete, your population won't change until people move in. You'll notice we've got no people walking around, we've got no vehicles. You can see that these houses are ready, but still, no population is ready. All that little symbol means is this house is ready for people to move in. Eventually, you're going to see some vehicles coming down the highway with some moving in vans. But you can already start seeing there is another issue arising with these people, and it is both water and electricity. So electricity is the most expensive one to do, and I recommend to do that one first. You've got two options in the starter game. You can either go down the route of having a coal power plant that has more sustainable for longer energy, but has a higher upkeep of 560,000 and is more expensive at the start. Or you've got the green energy of the wind turbine, but produces a lot less. And you'll be finding you're producing these more, but the upkeep is a lot less. It is entirely up to you which one you do. I tend to more go towards the wind turbines and keep adding to it. It's a lot easier and cheaper to build another wind turbine as and when you need the power than it is to have a coal power plant. You run out, you need to build another coal power plant. But you do what you feel is best. For this, I'm going to have the wind turbine. Now, when you place down your wind turbine, you're going to see that your map changes into different colours. You've got some darker bits, you've got some lighter bits. This entirely shows you where it is more windy. So you can see if I place down in here, I have not got much wind. You can see my estimated production is only 6 megawatts, whereas if I place it here, I have got 8 megawatts, which is, as you can see from the little thing, its maximum potential. So I'm going to place a little wind turbine farm here. We can see that my energy consumption is 1 megawatt. But seeing that I've got some money now, I'm going to place down 2. Once you place those, you'll see that they'll go green and start turning. That means that they are ready to start producing power. When you're in the power production view and you've selected your power lines, you now need to get the power to your cities. You'll see that there is a blue little circle around the areas, not only around your power production facilities, but also around your residents and your industries. This is basically the electricity grid. You need to be able to connect the two together. So if you click from one, drag it across the map, and just place it from just inside the blue grid, you'll see that this will go green, go blue, sorry, and that means it is now connected to the power grid, and everyone is now connected. But we need to still connect up to our industry area. The reason why I'm going in the corner is simply because that's where you don't have any zoning areas. Now I did delete 2 there because it didn't want to go properly in the corner, but that's okay, we can sacrifice a row. So now we've got that connected with power. The final thing is water. Now that doesn't just mean fresh water, it also means sewage. So if we come to the water and sewage option, you can see we have a couple of options to start the game. So because I have a DLC, which is the green cities, we can we've got options like this, which is the eco water outlet and such like that. These eco inland water treatment plants, I believe, came from the I want to say they came from the Sunset Harbour one, but I'm not entirely sure. Please put in the comment section below, what ones did these come from? I'm not entirely sure. But these are options that you can have. So these are kind of ones you can have for handling sewage inland, because traditionally in game you have only got the option of the water drain pipe, which literally pumps raw sewage out into your water stream. But with the option of the inland water treatment plants, it does give the option to build up your opportunity to have sewage inland. So we can see that these are far expensive. So these are 4,480 a week. And what's its production rate? Production rate is 60,000 cubic meters a week, whereas this one is 322,000 and is 120,000 cubic meters per week, which is not bad. That's a lot better than the other eco one. But the option is okay, so this one does give you a little bit of pollution, whereas this one gives you half the amount of pollution. You can see pollution top right, so pollution of 45, whereas this one gives a pollution of 100. And to give you, I mean, technically this gives you no pollution because it doesn't give you ground pollution, it just gives you pollution in water. But while we come over that, let's get the water inflow pipe, because you can only get water from one place. So once you click on the water option, you can see the water direction. This is a staple. What I highly recommend is doing is place your water on the highest point possible of your map. Once you place your water inlet, it needs 2 things. It needs to be connected to the water grid, and it also needs to be connected to the power grid. Connected to the water grid, you can build pipes, and this works similar to the electricity grid, except for you build the grid. So you can see there, I am building a nice blue circle around my thing. Anything inside that blue area is connected to water. And then if I then build here, and what I tend to do, and this is a good tip, is build it along the road like that. Some areas need you to be able to go around it a little bit more. So you can see here, I've gone a little kind of U shape to be able to cover this whole area, because I know I need to expand it. Whereas this area, I've just done 1 in, and potentially I have skipped out 2 little cubes there, which may become an issue in the future. Something to bear in mind. But we can now see that now we've done that, not only are these people moaning that the sewage is not being handled, but only 1 pipe is in kind of the overview is being used, and that's for fresh water. So we need to come back to our options. So with that all things considered, I am going to place the inland water treatment plant. So we're going to place this here, and you just connect it up just to the main water supply like so. Once that is in operation, we're going to see, there we go, our sewage is now being handled, which is fantastic. Once those things are in place, your city can start striving. So we can already see that we've got some residents arriving. We've got 165. We're halfway to our first little kind of hamlet, which is fantastic. So once you're at this stage, you've got the opportunity to be able to increase your population. These are the bare essentials that you can do for the time being. Now, you may notice that we don't have access to anything such as landfill sites or anything such as healthcare or police or schools. These are something you get from the next thing. So for the time being, that's all the basics you need. So we're going to expand our city out a little bit more. And when I say a little bit more, I mean we're just going to double the size. Something you want to consider when you're building up your city is how your road system is going to connect with each other. Something that I do is I don't like to do crossroads. I find crossroads tend to cause a lot of traffic issues. So that's why I will build T-junctions where I can and won't connect through roads, because I seem to find that this will cause a lot of congestion points. So it's entirely down to you, and you should do what you feel and looks the best for your city. I'm going to place in more houses, and we can then now draw our attention to our little kind of demands list, which is the little tabs down the bottom here. We can see that we have got a high demand for residential, and what this is shown by a large colour of green. The other two bars are commercial and then industry or offices as well. We can see there is no demand for either of those because you don't need much of them in comparison to residential. So we can see we only have a small bit of commercial, but this is just enough. This is all they need, really, because they go to work, they earn their money, they come back, they spend the money at the shops, then they go to sleep, and then go to work, and then spend the money. That's the cycle of your citizens in the game. And the more options you got around that makes it all much better. We can now see that our houses are now developing. Our power grid is looking great. We've got plenty of availability, and our water and sewage are doing well. So we're just going to wait for these ones to move in. We can see there are a couple of moving in vans. It looks like one here. There we go. No, that's a normal truck. Maybe we got one. I'm moving. These are people coming in now. But we can now see the next issue has arisen. We have expanded our city beyond our water grid. So this is where you now need to start thinking about how do I expand water grid to make it efficient. There we go. We've now covered it. You do not need to expand your electricity grid. And the reason for that is as each house adds to its own electricity grid. So if I go into the electricity view, you can see that that little blob has grown bigger. But something to bear in mind with your larger your larger cities is how are your electricity grids affected. So we can see that this house here is basically the input for all of the option of electricity. And what I mean by that is that, I have forgotten to connect our water pumping station to the input. That's why they're moaning water. But going back to that point, this house here is the electricity grid creator for this blob. So for if whatever reason this house was to be demolished or gone, this electricity blob will then shrink, meaning the electricity pylon will be outside of the area of effect, meaning this whole grid will become offline because it's no longer receiving power. So when your larger cities start to grow, what I highly recommend is building multiple points of your grid onto electricity lines, just in case for any form of shrinkage or any problem that you have with your electricity grid and housing, but it's able to be increased and decreased over time. We can see that we are now really close to our goal, and I'll do this tutorial and starting steps up to that goal once I get the services in place. And that should be a pretty much good point, and then you'll be able to take over from there. So we can now see that our next demand is for industry. That means that there are not enough jobs going to be able to sustain the next bit of growth. And I'm just going to add onto the side of these two. We can already see because of the growth, these don't take long to start spawning up. We can see that we are now getting very close to our population goal. There we go, just unlocking these. There we go. This is now ready to be moved in. This should mean we should get a little bit more demand for people because those open up a lot of jobs. 4852. We're now on the brink of unlocking the little hamlet options. We are so close, it's painful. So we're just going to be a minute or so, if that. It is really close. What I might do just help boost it is I might just start building some houses on this side. Now we have a very small demand for houses, not enough for a mass growth of houses. We've still got an empty plots in here, which will take up residents first, but it may be enough to start spawning up like 1 or 2 like that. So just like that. So they've chosen this spot over these for the time being. That's absolutely fine. We've got another little plot going in here. We're going to see these houses start to form up. So industries are all set up. We can see they've loads of them have still got jobs available, which is fantastic. And we're 2 away now. 1 away. So close. Oh, we've just lost 1. It happens. I don't think anyone's died yet, but we're 1 up, 1 away. Just waiting on 1. 2, waiting on 2 now. This is always the case, is you'll notice a little bit of fluctuation in your residential numbers, and that's just over just natural growth and shrinkage of your population, because they're probably not getting a service or something isn't quite right. But at this point in the game, there is nothing you can do about that. You do not have access to those services, and so you just basically just have to outweigh the demand with the amount of properties available. And there we go. We've just towed over the line to be able to unlock the little hamlet. This is your first milestone you're going to do, and this gives you the ability to be able to start turning your small, tiny, little kind of collection of houses into something that you can grow into a city and a town and such like that. So this gives you access to landfill sites and medical centres, and also this school. So this also gives you the ability to unlock the loan, which you can see in here, the first loan, which is 20,000. Now what I highly recommend is keep an eye on your finances. Don't go crazy. Don't expand beyond what you can afford, because there is no point. Because if you grow too big too quickly, your infrastructure and your services and facilities and everything like that are just going to get overwhelmed before you know about it, and it's just not going to work. So the next thing you need to do is come to here and build your centre. Now what we can look at is we've got recycling centre, which is smaller and does 24,000, whereas this does 800,000. No, 8 million capacity, but it's not a processing, that is a capacity. So it is actually this will fill up over time and then will stop, and then you have to empty out, whereas this one, your recycling centre, use it over production. We can see that we are producing 12,000 units, which is well in the range of what this can do. So we're just going to place down our little facility here, and then that can start going collecting our rubbish or our garbage. The next thing I would do is I would choose a school over your medical, and the reason behind that is the more educated your citizens are, the less likely they are to get sick, the less likely they are to do crime, the less likely they are to do cause a fire. But it is a first step in the stone in order to upgrade your industry. Your industry works upon your education level. So the better educated your citizens are, the more likely your industry will expand and grow, and you'll get more money out of taxes from that. So it's good to get set up with your education early doors. So your first elementary school has a capacity of 300 pupils. We can see that we have eligible of 96 children, and let's keep an eye on this, because you'll notice that this will quickly increase as you increase your city. If we go to the community school, so this is basically a small little elementary school. It's alternative. It holds less, But if we look at the upkeep is slightly more. It actually costs a lot more, but it is a little bit more modern. I don't think it causes no pollution or anything like that. And I can't actually genuinely see the benefit of it over the elementary school. So it just looks slightly different. So that's where I'm going to leave that for now. The next steps from that, I would recommend looking at your medical, place down the medical centre, and then continue building up your city. For anything other which is a bit more specific, I highly recommend going onto my channel, having a look at some of the other specific videos I've done, but this is the first time I've done a from start to your first milestone kind of tutorial, so I'm going to give you a heads up. You can already see that we're in the plus in our money, and that is a great place to be. We haven't gone down too far, and we can see that our citizens and our town are growing and striving really well. So, with that being said, thank you very much for watching. If this has been useful for you, hit that subscribe button, and also the massive hit the like, because it really helps out the YouTube algorithm. Also, put a comment section below. What's your favourite city? How is you doing? What kind of thing do you use? Do you use the power plant? Do you use the wind turbines? I want to know. Put it in the comment section below. Let me know anything. I really want to know. It's awesome. But yeah, thank you very much, guys. And yeah, I'll see you on the next video. Goodbye for now. Bye, guys.